The moment Jasmine Crockett stepped out of the studio, the digital world erupted. Social media ignited like wildfire, hashtags trending within minutes. Hashtag Crockett Clash, hashtag Bill Maher Meltdown, hashtag Truth on Stage. Clips of her fiery tirade circulated endlessly, stitched into reaction videos, memes and commentary threads. Every angle of the confrontation, from the finger-pointing to the icy calm of Maher, was dissected, replayed, and debated. Supporters of Crockett hailed her as a symbol of fearless truth-telling. Finally, someone who refuses to play by their rules, tweeted one viewer. "This is what real courage looks like," wrote another. Short video compilations labeled mic drop moments went viral, accumulating millions of views as audiences celebrated her audacity. To them, she wasn't reckless. She was righteous. Every word she had shouted, every accusation thrown across that desk, resonated as an unfiltered critique of power, privilege, and performative civility. On the other side, critics pounced with equal fervor. Some mocked her inability to maintain composure, producing memes that juxtaposed her fiery expressions with exaggerated captions. "When passion meets poor timing," and "guess who didn't read the room?" Commentators labeled her meltdown as evidence of impulsiveness, of political immaturity, or of a lack of respect for established discourse. The split in reaction mirrored the larger cultural divide. Boldness lauded by some, recklessness condemned by others. Television pundits and political analysts quickly weighed in. Morning shows dissected the clash frame by frame, breaking down the dynamics of confrontation, the choices made by both parties, and the lessons viewers could take away. Opinion pieces flooded digital outlets, some framing the incident as a moment of needed disruption in a stale media environment, others framing it as a cautionary tale about unchecked aggression in public discourse. Cable panels debated the ethics of her approach, while online forums exploded with amateur analysis, each user staking their claim on who had won the night. Meanwhile, Maher's composure became a focal point of praise and critique. Some saw him as the embodiment of disciplined authority, someone capable of maintaining dignity under fire. Others questioned whether his calm had masked condescension or enabled the escalation in the first place. The conversation, much like the confrontation itself, became a spectacle, a shared cultural experience where viewers were both audience and jury. The virality of the event created a feedback loop. Clips of the most dramatic moments inspired parodies, fan-made mashups, and even short-form analyses by other politicians and creators. Every share, every comment, every reaction amplified the story, transforming it from a single studio incident into a national talking point. People who hadn't watched the live broadcast found themselves drawn in through snippets online, creating a sense that everyone was witnessing something historic. For many, there was a sense of participation in a larger narrative. Viewers tweeted their alignment or dissent, shared their own interpretations, and debated morality, strategy, and justice in real time. It wasn't just about what had happened on camera. It was about what it represented. The collision of authority and disruption, tradition and innovation, restraint and passion. Audience members felt seen in their own frustrations, validated in their desire for accountability, and energized by the spectacle of confrontation played out on a national stage. Yet amid the noise, a subtle shift began to emerge. Beyond the virality, beyond the memes and hashtags, there was a lingering question. What did this mean for civility, for political discourse, for the balance between passion and control? While opinions clashed and allegiances formed, the core of the event, an unflinching challenge to power, a refusal to be silenced, was quietly reshaping the conversation about what it meant to speak truth in public spaces. In homes, offices, and online communities, people replayed the encounter, dissected the tactics, and considered the stakes. The cultural conversation had moved beyond simple entertainment. It had become a reflection of broader societal tensions. Viewers weren't just reacting, they were participating, aligning themselves with heroes and villains, debating values and priorities, and testing their own thresholds for patience, respect, and outrage. And as the clips continued to circulate, the pundit panels continued to analyze, and the memes continued to spread, it became clear. This wasn't just a momentary spectacle. It was the opening chapter of a conversation about power, privilege, and responsibility in modern American media and politics. But beneath the noise, a deeper lesson was emerging. In the aftermath of the storm, the studio lights dimmed, the cameras powered down, and the audience had dispersed. But the lessons lingered far beyond the walls of that stage. The spectacle of Jasmine Crockett's fiery confrontation and Bill Maher's unflinching composure had become more than viral content. It had crystallized a moral narrative about power, passion, and responsibility. Crockett's intensity reminded viewers that courage often demands speaking truth to authority, confronting injustice, and refusing to be silenced. Her voice carried the frustrations of countless people who feel overlooked, underestimated, or ignored. She embodied the raw energy of conviction, the insistence that power must be held accountable, and the human instinct to demand recognition for one's lived experience. There was undeniable inspiration in her willingness to challenge the status quo, to disrupt polite facades, and to force a moment of reckoning. Yet, in the same breath, the chaos of the exchange offered a cautionary lesson. Rage, no matter how righteous, has consequences. When fire is uncontained, it can consume the speaker as much as the target. Viewers felt the tension of admiration mixed with concern, how quickly passion can tip into self-destruction, how a single misstep can overshadow noble intentions, and how unfiltered truth without restraint risks alienating the very audience one seeks to inspire. Bill Maher's presence on the stage provided the counterpoint. His calm authority, honed over decades of public discourse, demonstrated the power of composure in moments of crisis. His ability to absorb provocation, maintain perspective, and assert control without violence or spectacle offered a model of restraint. It showed that influence is not merely about volume, aggression, or spectacle. It is about steadiness, clarity, and the capacity to command attention while upholding dignity. The contrast was stark. Chaos meets order, impulsive fire meets measured ice. For the audience, the clash became a mirror. It asked them to consider their own thresholds, how they handle confrontation, how they engage in debate, and what they value in political and social discourse. It reminded them that democracy is not sustained by shouting matches or viral outrage alone. It is nurtured by conversation, by listening, and by a recognition that even in disagreement, respect preserves the bridge between citizens, leaders, and institutions. In this morality play, the ultimate lesson was not about who won the night or whose performance went viral. It was about the enduring value of dignity and the consequences of its absence. Passion without control can ignite attention, but it cannot build consensus. Rage without restraint may feel righteous, but it often leaves only scorched ground behind. True influence comes not from overpowering an opponent in a single moment, but from maintaining integrity, poise, and moral clarity even under pressure. As the digital conversation continued to ripple across platforms, the most resonant moments were not the clips of shouting or pointing fingers, but the silent, powerful contrast between two forces on that stage. One burning brightly, one steady and unshakable. Both were necessary to the story, the fire to expose weaknesses, the ice to contain them, but only one left a lasting impression of authority married to principle. For viewers, the takeaway was simple yet profound. In an era dominated by performative outrage and viral spectacle, dignity remains the ultimate weapon. It is the true mic drop. It is the force that commands attention without alienation, that earns respect without fear, and that transforms conflict into a lesson rather than a spectacle. It is a reminder that even in the most heated moments, composure can be revolutionary, and civility can be courageous. In a time when shouting matches dominate politics, when viral clashes replace careful deliberation, and when screens constantly mediate our understanding of justice and power, the showdown between Jasmine Crockett and Bill Maher stands as a modern parable. Rage may ignite headlines, audacity may command views, but dignity, quiet, unwavering, disciplined dignity, remains the enduring measure of leadership, influence, and respect. It is a lesson for politicians and citizens alike, to speak with courage, to act with conscience, and to navigate the fire of conflict without losing sight of the values that sustain democracy. And in that, the audience, whether inspired, provoked, or challenged, is left with a vision of what discourse can and should be: passionate, principled, and ultimately dignified.